One of Yo Gotti's hitmen has turned and flipped into a federal informant. Govan Hernandez is now cooperating with the investigation of Young Dolph, and he's looking to actually testify against Yo Gotti because at this very moment he took the deal to get out on a $90K bond, and it's pretty much clear cut and obvious that he's working directly with the feds. Like, they basically are using him to get the information on the rest of the guys because they know that Govan, he's getting old. He already had lost one of his peoples from the retaliation of the people slotted on Dolph in Texas, and so now he's decided that he's gonna come clean about everything and basically tell the feds how Yo Gotti was the one who was putting everything together in motion to get all the guys paid off to try to take Dolph out. If you guys are rocking with Young Dolph, let me know where y'all from. Put the Dolph emoji in the comment section. Put LLYD, long live Young Dolph, RIP King of Memphis, Flipper. So let's get into it, man. So everybody knew at this moment that it was somebody from the CMG camp that was gonna tell. These guys aren't gonna sit back and just let Yo Gotti boss them around and basically have to do life in prison for Yo Gotti. It's definitely not worth it. They knew at the end of the day they were only doing what they needed to do to have Yo Gotti pay them the money so that they could get the money and just basically run off with it. That's what was going on. Now that they're all getting caught, and they're looking at the judge, they're looking at the prosecutors, and they're saying that they're going to get a lot of time for this. This is what made them turn their back on Yo Gotti, because the street life is not for everybody. Even the toughest guys, they'll end up telling, and this is exactly what's going on right now. Govan Hernandez, he's been the person who's been doing a lot of the stuff in the streets for CMG. Yo Gotti, he's Yo Gotti's personal friend, and so now that he doesn't want to have to own up to it, and he wants to throw it on to Yo Gotti, because at the end of the day, he's not the guy that sent the bread. So he's telling the feds, I'm not the person who set this up. It's Yo Gotti who did this, and the third, allegedly, right? And so now that they know Govan is the person who's turned into the informant, this is why they took out Big Jook. And at the end of the day, everything will be revealed when that Young Dolph footage comes out, because the word on the street is that Young Dolph had the dash cam on the Corvette, that car that was parked in front of the Makita's cookie shop. This is what everybody was looking at. This is why they caught the Bentley truck. This is why they caught Govan. This is why they caught Big Jook and everybody else, because Young Dolph dash cam footage picked up everything that happened in the front of the shop. You guys got to remember that Dolph's car was pulled in forward, and so the mechanic already said Dolph car has 5 different type of cameras on it, and all they have to do is basically get the footage of that front dash cam, and it showed exactly what happened in that front of the shop. It showed Young Dolph brother running out the front, and he was trying to get the door unlocked, but the lady had already pushed the button. They locked in Young Dolph in that front lobby, and nobody had nowhere to go, because you remember what they said, that Young Dolph, he had the purple strap on him. He had a pole on him when they picked him up, and he was actually busting back through the door handle trying to escape, but they locked the door. This is why there's holes coming from the inside to the outside, because Dolph was trying to get out of there, man. Whatever was going on in that cookie shop, they know that there's some people that's in on it. This is why the whole investigation is going so crazy right now, because a lot of people, the 2 years, almost 3 years, they couldn't take it no more. They actually broke down. They gave up. They gave into the feds, the questions. They gave the runaround and so many questions, so many interviews, that when they started giving the answers, and it's contradicting the first answers that the first questions that they were talking about when it freshly happened. Now they realize that they got caught in this big lie of webs, and they can't go back and cover for CMG and Yo Gotti no more. At this point, they have to look out for themselves and say, you know what, I didn't have no problems with Dolph, he didn't set this up, but a lot of the people, they're guilty of taking the money, and so this is what the karma is doing to everybody. Once they get that footage of that front of the cookie shop from Dolph's car, because they don't want to have to release the actual cookie shop footage. Remember, they sold that to a third party company. This is when TMZ and all them people, they bought the footage. and sold it back to Yo Gotti and everything like that. So that way they can't display it for the trial and everything. This is what they tried to do to cover their tracks, was if they had to buy the footage, then they'll pay whatever they had to pay in order to try to get that, because they know that a lot of the people that don't want to tell, a lot of the witnesses that were there that saw everything, and the people in the cookie shop, they don't want to tell because they already know what's going to happen if they go and they tell and run their mouth about what they saw that day. So what's happening is that once they get all the footage from the surrounding businesses, they're going to have a clear 360 point of view of everything that happened that day, and how and when the Bentley truck pulled up, who was giving the signals, because the timing for everything was so impeccable that you had to have been on, they had to have been on walkie-talkies or on FaceTime audio or something, talking to each other back and forth saying, okay, pull up, he's in the shop, pull up, because how did they time it so well to actually get him in there? And the lady had to lock the door right away so that Young Dolph couldn't escape. This is why Dolph was pushing on the door handle, and Young Dolph brother, he was pushing on the door handle. Nobody could get out. And that's what they were saying when Maurice, the cookie shop owner, said he walked up and he seen the dude with the dreads, which is Young Dolph brother, beating on the glass door, and he was thinking like he was locked out or something like that. Once they buzzed him in, Young Dolph brother and Maurice walked into the cookie shop at the same time. And this is when Maurice tried to say he didn't even see Young Dolph, and he thought Dolph brother was actually sticking the place up himself. Why would he say something like that when he knows for a fact that the person sticking up the place wouldn't just be waiting around for the owner to show up? They would have already took off instantly. So a lot of things were going on with the cookie shop people that was very, very strange. The witnesses in the front that was already standing on the grass in between the Family Dollar and the cookie shop, and the people who were doing their laundry at the laundromat, they were outside in that parking lot. They said it didn't go down like the way that they were mentioning it. The way that Raven said, it didn't happen like that. They have the footage, and a lot of the people, they are afraid to come forward because Memphis is a small town, and if the word gets out that it was this person or that person or whoever it is that had the footage of actually showing what they did inside the shop, then it's basically going to be where they're going to be targeted next, just like how it's been so many people that actually got lost in this whole entire thing. There was a lot of people that got hit up, a lot of people that became fallen due to this. I want to send the condolences to everybody that's been affected by the Young Dolph situation, everyone that's affected by Yo Gotti and CMG. And it was a lot of people who were innocent in this that ended up getting taken out just because they were too close to the situation. And CMG, all of them dudes, man, Black Youngster, Yo Gotti, Govan, Big Jug, moneybaggyo, they were all scared that the feds was gonna catch them so quick. This is why they hurried up, and moneybaggyo moved all of his cars out of Memphis. He moved to Atlanta. Remember when they had the big car hauler with all of their cars with the same color, Rolls Royce with the Bentley and the Lambo and the Range Rover and the Escalades, and everything was put on the back of the truck, and they were taking it out of Memphis. And Key Glock did the same thing with all of his yellow cars, because they knew and they were getting ready that there was inevitably going to be a war in Memphis between the people who are on Dolph's side and the people who are on Yo Gotti's side. And the people on Yo Gotti's side and CMG, they still have a lot of witnesses that know what happened. There's still a lot of footage out there, and there's still a lot of the dudes who was in on it but basically ended up catching the case, and now they might go and tell on Yo Gotti to get out of their other cases and their sentencings and everything like that. This is what they were so worried about. But at the end of the day, man, the karma from everything, Dolph, he's never deserved to get done like that. And so the karma's coming back, and they're gonna get the justice for Dolph one way or the other. You see what happened to Black Youngster's brother, you see what happened to Yo Gotti's brother Big Jook, and countless many other people. There's so many people that got at least 8 to 10 different suspects that got locked up for this, and they're all putting their stories together on telling how exactly Yo Gotti might have planned this allegedly. And so this is what's going to get them out of their sentences, and is gonna get the RICO case put on Yo Gotti, CMG, and anybody that's left from this whole thing. This is why Black Youngster, he's been hiding. Even though he left CMG and they're fighting and they're beefing right now, the feds will still go and pick him up and put him in the RICO for this whole thing, because they were all together and they all planned things out together when this all happened. That's why the feds, they're going after each and every single one of them, and they're going to pick them apart one by one until they actually get everybody to pretty much point the finger at Yo Gotti, because they know for a fact that this was the who had the motives, and this is who had the beef with Young Dolph the longest. This is not their first case. They already know about the beef between Dolph and Yo Gotti. That's why they're just waiting for one of their people to tell on the other person, and that's exactly how it's looking right now, man.